It is good to hear the music again. Is that a Richard Bauer I see in there? All right, everybody's dropping in. Yeah, our friend from the southern hemisphere is joined to heckle us all day long. So my name's Adam Walter, and you guys are in the webinar for the three emerging technologies. So a little backstory here. The way this got started was we were all in this PitchIT program for ConnectWise together. We all kind of out of like 40 or 60 companies, something like that, got chosen to be the final 18 to compete and talk about our products and what we did in 2022. And then the three of us became the finalists. We pitched our products, and judges figured out that we were the coolest kids on the block. And so then we went to ConnectWise and we competed. And we're pretty sure Cam bribed the judges because he ended up being the winner of the PitchIT contest. But in the meantime, Vonahi ended up winning Best Security Solution of 2022. And Humanize it won most innovative solution of 2022. Out of all the vendors at the conference, the 200 vendors or whatever it was, we came up with the top three things. So we decided that, hey, well, we did this workshop at IT Nation and we became good friends, and we realized that our products all synergized really well. Oh gosh, I feel dirty just saying that word. But anyways, they all synergized really well together. And like, hey, let's do a workshop. So at IT Nation, we even did a workshop while we were competing with each other about how to help MSPs, because we all genuinely want to help MSPs. And so what you're going to see here is what we're going to see here is in chat, there's going to be a number of people that's kind of talking back and forth. You got Trammy, you got Skip, you've got Key, you've got Jason, Cam, and so this is a very action-packed webinar. This is not a snooze fest. So whether you got this in the background or it's forefront, get your popcorn out. It's going to be a good time. You're going to see three technologies that will increase your revenues without needing any extra personnel. We're going to empower your employees. So if you saw the commercial, it's all about turning your employees into heroes while de-stressing them, helping them be better at their jobs, increasing your revenues, and helping your clients be better. So this is the same workshop we did at IT Nation, except for condensed for you, so we can save you time, because we all know that you're in a crunch time right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have everybody explain who they are, what problem they're solving, and then we're gonna move into 3 fast demos. So it'll be AlertOps, Vonahi, and then Humanize IT. It'll be the order. So the first person up is Cam with AlertOps. He's going to give us a 3-minute pitch of why he's awesome, what problem he's solving, and what solution is available. So Cam, get that monitor up and going. See if I can see your pretty face. He's here somewhere.
I am here somewhere. All right, here we go.
Go ahead and tell us what is your product? What is it you guys solve? Give me 3.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what is AlertOps and what problems we solve? We are at the most fundamental level, and it's simplifying things quite a bit, an on-call solution. Now, there are a bunch of on-call solutions out there. I want a text message at 9 p.m. Yeah, a lot of tools can do that. But the problem that we're seeing today is with the rate at which organizations onboard new tools, new pieces of technology, and clients themselves with varying stacks of technology. At that point, being able to customize the logic necessary to cater to an MSP's business, the way that their SOPs are structured, starts to become impossible with your basic on-call solution. So the problem that we solve is alert management, being able to filter through noise, build out custom rule sets, and really tailor your alerting and response process to what works for your organization.
So you're essentially keeping engineers from being overwhelmed.
Exactly.
So does this increase response time?
Yeah, so it cuts down the time to acknowledgement on average per ticket, but then even more than just the response time, right? Because the acknowledgement piece of it is one thing. There's quite a bit that can be done with downstream automation. So let's say that you have a tool that has the ability to trigger an action for self-remediation. Those are the types of things that AlertOps can plug in. So if we did plug into a self-healing tool, we can test that before actually waking someone up at 11 p.m. Right. So those are the kind of things that AlertOps really solves today in the ecosystem.
Do you see any kind of efficiencies happen when somebody starts using your product, like reduced time to tickets, or any kind of like now an engineer has 30% more time?
Mhm. Yeah, so I actually that about 30% is our reduction in time to acknowledgement, right? Mean time to acknowledgement conducted in a survey across a subset of our customers, MSP customers. 30% is the reduction in the mean time to acknowledgement of a ticket. But even more than that, the metric that I like a lot is the fact that over 30%, I think it was closer to 40% of the amount of after hours tickets that were filtered out were non-priority tickets. They were waking people up after hours for something that they otherwise didn't really need to address.
Awesome. Any final thoughts before I move over to Vonahi?
No, yeah, very excited to be on. Thanks for setting this all up, Adam, and excited to get the show started.
All right. Jason, you're up next. There he is. Jason without an Oculus, I see. I thought you ordered one. Where is it?
Let me unmute here. Sorry about that. Yeah, you
Right.
and Cam were making me jealous before about the Oculus. I need to get one now.
Yeah. Mini pitch here. You know, Oculuses for Christmas are the hot item. So tell me about Vonahi, Jason. What is it that Vonahi does that seems to be impossible?
Well, so we're focused on network penetration testing, and that's typically, that's a way to identify security gaps in your network, right? And so we do deliver full scale penetration testing, which means above and beyond vulnerability assessment, we replicate a hacker, attack the network, actually exploit vulnerabilities and attempt to gain access to sensitive data. So the idea there is that we can show you the impact of what would happen if an attacker attacked the network. And that's typically done in a manual way. I mean, our founders got 10 plus years of doing manual penetration testing, but we've been able to, automate that process and then, build a SaaS platform that allows partners to deliver penetration testing without, the need to hire security experts, right? So, and then through that automation, we drastically reduce the cost. We can increase the speed to which you get, the results, right? We can deliver it within days instead of weeks, if not months. And then we give you the ability to do it in an ongoing fashion, right? So typically, in the market penetration testing right now, it's typically a compliance-driven need, right? So your end clients either have to meet a compliance requirement or they need to meet cyber liability insurance requirements. And so, they do that right now through an outsourced security consulting company. And so now, MSPs can deliver that through our platform. And it really allows them to get a new revenue stream and a really highly profitable revenue stream as well.
Yeah, definitely. And as I've said many times, like this is a first to market kind of thing, guys. There's some similar things that are vulnerability analysis.
Right.
That's not what Vonahi is. I come from a heavy security background, and I'm very critical of this stuff. So, when I first see Jason, I'm like, Jason, this is a vulnerability scanner, isn't it? What? How are you differentiating yourself from a vulnerability scanner? Are you really pen testing? Are you really going in and exploiting passwords?
Absolutely. So, right, like as you mentioned, you've got rapid fire tools, Nessus, Cyber CNS, vulnerability scanning tools, right? And they will analyze a network for known vulnerabilities, and then that's where they kind of stop, right? And so where the pen test comes in is actually, taking a step back, you get hundreds, if not thousands of vulnerabilities that come from those. And then, the vast majority of them are not actually exploitable by an attacker. So
Yep.
what we do is we come in, attempt to exploit those and show you which vulnerabilities are actually exploitable. And then if we can get on your network through that process, we then try to move across the network, escalate user privileges, crack passwords. And the goal is can we gain access to sensitive data? And so, the outcome is a report that meets compliance requirements, but it's also a much smaller list of findings that really help you prioritize what you should fix now. And then again, because we can do it through automation, you can do it up to monthly. You're able to, test more frequently, and you can kind of every month say, okay, we fixed these things. Are there anything new out there that we need to identify? And you're doing it more than once a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for an MSP to say, we think you're vulnerable to this. And another one to say, yeah, we actually were able to exploit this. So
Correct.
that means anybody can. So,
right.
I love that. I love what you guys have to say. I've been hurt before by people promising pen testing, but that's actually vulnerability analysis. You guys are actually doing it, and it's easy. And that's what I like about it. There's no like Metasploit, spend 6 months setting this up and going and get certifications and figuring out how to do it.
Right.
You guys have already done all the hard work. You have the licensed security professionals behind your product that are analyzing and helping everybody out. So as an MSP gets your product, and as everybody sees it later, they're going to know, oh my gosh, this is great. I need to add this to my stack now.
Yeah. And to that point, right? I mean, because there's that skepticism, that noise in the market about automation and, other platforms saying they do pen testing when they're really doing vulnerability scanning. When we onboard a partner, like they all we give them access to go through trials, right? So that they can prove it. And so most of our partners have stood it up side by side to the last pen test they saw, or, an actual pen tester doing it while, our platform's doing it, and we're delivering the same results.
Awesome.
And then,
for a fraction of the price.
For a fraction of the price. That's correct.
Which is great, because those margins get passed on to who?
The MSP, and then and then on to the end customer as well, right?
Yep. So you can put it's just like a while ago, whenever you're first to the market with something, margins are great, then they'll slowly shrink, and you can pass those on to your customer, or you can absorb them yourself.
Yep.
Thanks, Jason. I guess I've got to talk about Humanize IT. So I guess I could have had Skip pop up and talk about it, but Skip is my lovely co-host here. What we have here is Humanize IT is the merger of two products: managed services platform and virtual C's consulting. And we came in and we built a platform with 4 pillars. And the idea is that you guys as MSPs are currently not getting buy-in from your customers. You need a way to simplify what you're doing so that you can deliver it in a way that your client understands. So if you've got a Vonahi, and you've got a pen test finding, and you've got AlertOps, and you've got a number of issues going on in your environment, how do you get your customer to buy into that? And that's our solution. We increase your perceived value and save you a lot of time. And so, Skip, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I've worked in MSPs for many years now, and I just really love technology. And, my epiphany was many years ago when I realized, being the engineer and the guy just loves, making it all work, that clients really need to get some value out of technology. I mean, they aren't buying it for the blinky lights like I would, right? And I think sometimes we miss that. Even though we are in what we call a proactive business model, within the MSP, structure there, many times we have just taken a break fix model and made it a monthly expense. And you really have to be intentional about moving to that. So my little phrase on that is, we see many MSPs and they're stuck in almost this commodity sort of business, and they're sweeping themselves into the janitor's closet. But what you really need to be doing is pulling out a seat at the executive table. And I think the really successful MSPs are the ones that are able to do that. They're able to have those conversations. And so what we do is, with the framework, we really help, solidify that approach. And then the tool makes it scalable, so you can do that with all your clients. So that's really what we want to help MSPs with.
And if you guys don't think it's possible, you think this is too good to be true, we convert 100% of people who try our product.
That's true.
It's not fake. It's not something where we're being charlatans. We're not over promising. We do deliver what we're saying. It is easy. It is simple. You can come in and we will walk you through it, and you will start generating revenue, not because we are making you better, but we're taking the solutions you have in your existing stack and your clients now understand, and then they buy in. All right. Thanks, Skip. So with that, what the next phase is here, we're going to do a rapid fire product demos. And the first up is going to be AlertOps, and they're going to show us how they accomplish their product, what it's going to do for you, and then we'll move into Vonahi. And at the end of each section, they're going to give you a coupon code and a discount for services.
And one more thing, there are several people from Vonahi and AlertOps and Humanize IT. We're in the chat queue, and so we're queued up and ready. If you guys have questions, please be sure and send those over. We're glad to chat with you there, send you more information, relay that to the speakers, whatever it needs to be. We really want this to be an engaging webinar for you guys. Too many times, I know sometimes we just kind of put these on and let them play, and yeah, you get some information, but if we can get you the information that you want specifically, we're more than happy to do that.
Yep, definitely. So keep those questions, keep the chat going down below. If you have some questions for the end after all 3 demos are done, please put them in the Q&A section down in the bottom, and we will get to them after all 3 products have been demoed. If they have any questions that are immediate, go ahead and ask it in the chat. Otherwise, we'll get one of our experts to answer it at the end in a full comprehensive format. All right, Cam, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Take it away. I'm going to go ahead and disappear here for a little bit.
Cool. Give me 1 second here, and I should be sharing here. Can you see my screen here, Adam?
Yes, I can. You are ready to go.
All right, perfect. So what you guys see here is AlertOps. So let me back up a little bit. I know that I gave you an idea around a little bit around what type of problems that we solve. So AlertOps, like I mentioned, is an alert management response orchestration tool. The way that I like to envision AlertOps as a platform is the world's most advanced digital switchboard, right? Signals come in and signals go out. But everything that happens in the middle between them coming in and going out is really where the magic happens. So AlertOps provides you a platform for you to very easily and scalably structure your response models as well as your operating processes based on what works for your organization. A lot of the times you're stuck molding your organization's processes to what a tool is capable of. And AlertOps shifts away from that paradigm specifically for alert management response to allow you to build what works for you and what works for your engineers. Now, with that said, what you see right now is the AlertOps dashboard. As I'd mentioned, we ingest signals from all over your IT ecosystem. So it's not just ingesting from your PSA, whether that's Kaseya or ConnectWise Manage, or it's not necessarily just from your RMM tool. It's not just from your network monitoring tool. We aggregate all of these signals, and as a byproduct of rules that have been applied to them, dictate what downstream actions to be taken. And that those actions can be notify someone repeatedly or escalate through a group. But beyond that, talk to third-party systems. Maybe you have an automated workflow for an action to execute when a ticket is opened up. At that point, AlertOps might recognize that this alert doesn't need to wake anyone up. Just add the time entry so that that ticket exists with a record of the effort that went into it without any manual intervention. So this dashboard here gives you a high-level overview of the current state of alerting and response within your ecosystem. It really just gives you that 1,000-foot bird's-eye view as far as your operational overview from top 10 open alerts to what percentage of your alerts are falling inside versus outside of your SLAs. And then on the right-hand side, a bit more of an infrastructure-based overview. So what data is actually hitting our integration ports? What services are actually triggering alerts during this period? Beyond that, an integration overview, but then even drilling down further from the same integration, potentially you have multiple sources of alerts. So having, once again, just that very high level overview as far as what's going on in your environment today. Now, with that said, let's take a look at the first major piece of AlertOps that we would help as far as optimize efficiency around a service desk on call, as well as alert management processes in general. That comes to scheduling. So here we have a 10-member team, and you see the calendar roster for this 10-member team. So we have 24/7 coverage with different subsets of my 10-member team that are outlined to be responsible throughout the course of the business day. One of the most common things that I see with managed service providers that come to AlertOps is oftentimes a very, very shallow schedule or a manual schedule. So what I mean by shallow is because your on-call rotation or the level of automation that exists in your system doesn't necessarily provide you that outlet to say, I want one person on call between noon to 3, but then from 3 to 5 till the rest for the rest of the business day, another person should be level 1 for most service desk incidents, and then beyond that, after hours, building out a custom process based on time of day, as well as different paths of escalation. That doesn't exist. You can see here simply with the 10-member team, I have 3 individual rotations and rosters that have been set up. And as we go forward, you can see that the users, based on however it's configured for that particular roster, will automatically rotate. We have information that states that service desk managers spend upwards of 20 to 30 minutes per week simply just organizing schedules. Now, whether that's in their Outlook, their PSA tool, or even sometimes managed in Excel, that's 30 minutes a week that doesn't really need to be used. So one key area that AlertOps provides in terms of operational efficiency is simplicity in your on-call scheduling, but beyond that, flexibility in your on-call scheduling. And what I mean by flexibility is this example. So here we have more of a complex calendar. We have a nested group. So I have my cloud management, my DevOps production support, and my Nakatomi Plaza team, all with different tiers of responders that are going to be on call during different points of the day. Let's say throughout the course of a major incident or a critical incident that you would need to loop in individuals across the board, you could very easily blast across your teams, or alternatively, you can escalate through your teams as well. So the ability to build in additional redundancy as well as instantly provide widespread visibility around an incident or a service request that's critical is definitely one area that AlertOps helps out. Now, all of these schedules that we've seen so far can be synced back to your calendar provider. So that's Outlook or Google Calendar via webcal feed URL that'll refresh on certain intervals whenever AlertOps is updated, or alternatively a static iCal export. So build your schedules in AlertOps, set it and forget it, and view them wherever you want. Now that we've taken a look at scheduling, let's jump into one of my favorite portions of AlertOps that I have a tendency to nerd out about. It's really our integration. So on the inbound side, AlertOps can pretty much integrate with any tool. So we have 3 primary ingestion sources for what can create an alert. We can create an alert through an email integration or email connector. So you can set up rules as far as how you'd want to parse that email, whether you'd want to filter out certain things based on the contents of that email, and then additionally apply rule sets for auto closure and rule sets for dictating what notification playbook you're actually going to use when this email goes out. Similarly, the second source is going to be via incoming customer call. So AlertOps has a lightweight IVR system that's actually built into the tool. So you might be able to replace your PBX solution, and it integrates directly with your on-call schedule that's already configured, as well as downstream tools such as ticketing systems, status tools, etc. The third mechanism is via API. So AlertOps has the capability on the inbound side of pretty much ingesting anything that's posted to a REST API via form data or via JSON. Here you see some tiles outlining a lot of our pre-built integrations. We're integrated with most popular tools within the MSP space and then the IT operations and service management space. But beyond that, the cool thing about AlertOps is the custom integration feature. So you have the ability to no code 100% ground up devise once a JSON packet or once form data hits AlertOps. What do I actually want to do with it? Does this warrant a critical incident or a non-critical incident? Is this a service request that needs to have immediate response taken, or should it be suppressed till business hours? Am I going to delay notifications because I expect a flapping scenario based on the type of sensor this is? All of those rule sets can very easily be configured without writing a single line of code, because the ability to integrate systems is all based on our no-code mapping and our open API. So even if you don't see a tool that is pre-templated within your AlertOps environment, you can pretty easily get one up and running for any tools that you actually leverage. Now, let's take a look at some of the functionality around an integration, an API integration, what makes AlertOps different. So before we start talking about this, one of the areas that I really want to talk about is some of the limitations that exist in the market as far as on-call and escalation processes, whether it's a purpose-built on-call solution or whether you're using it through some other notification tool, whether it's a monitoring tool or ticketing system. One of the biggest issues is everything is heavily coupled. And what I mean by coupled is I have a service desk team that is responsible for any level 3 or level 2 incidents. But the second something hits a P1, then I want it to go directly to my level 2 service desk team rather than my level 1. And now what you're going to find in the market with a lot of different tools is you can very explicitly define that level 1 gets a phone call, then a text message, then an email, then goes to the next person and repeats it. Then level 2, you have tied to another escalation process. The problem there is it doesn't scale well. Let's say across the organization, your managed service provider, you have a standard operating process as far as how escalations should occur for any alarm that is of a certain level of criticality. Irrespective of what team you're on, you want the same escalation process, the same alert management playbook to be initiated. You don't have that option because everything is tied together. A lot of the times you find yourself rebuilding escalation paths and groups for things that already exist because every piece of configuration is so tightly coupled together. Now, AlertOps is completely decoupled. What I mean by that is the same team can use different escalation paths. Even the same team with the same schedule can have different subsets of the users notified based on the type of alerting playbook that you watch. Maybe I only want my secondaries notified in a specific scenario rather than my primaries. That level of flexibility is something that AlertOps is uniquely positioned to deliver. So when we're taking a look at this particular piece here, I have this connected to a ConnectWise Manage PSA ticketing integration. So in this integration, I'm saying that my escalation will override, which in AlertOps acts as your alerting playbook. Based on the source data, I'm going to kick off different alerting playbooks that come across. So if my ticket summary contains offline server, I'm going to use my standard critical escalation. In the case that the priority, however, contains critical, then I'm going to use my inbound critical user rules escalation. And that same playbook can be applied across different groups. It can go to my default team, but the second that the priority contains critical, it's going to go directly to my level 2 support team and apply whatever alerting playbook we would like to see within the context of that particular group. So now that we've covered a little bit around what we can do with integrations, how we can flexibly route, there's quite a bit more that you can do. You can extend your standard alert to include virtually any data field that exists in your other system. So let's say that you have a bunch of custom fields built out within your ticketing system or tags within your monitoring tool. AlertOps can incorporate those into standard alert type so that one, you have visibility of it on the go, but then beyond that, you actually have the ability to take action on it. So in the case that you would want to change something, or alternatively, set up an automated workflow that ran as a byproduct of a specific tag, you could definitely do so, eliminating a lot of the routing and eliminating a lot of the manual overhead involved with distribution of communications. Now, let's take a quick look at escalation rules. I know that I'd mentioned that escalation rules are the crux of this entire process and really act as playbooks, if you will. So here we have a sample escalation. And at the core baseline functionality is we have a group of people or a team that the escalation rule will be applied to, and it'll escalate accordingly. So AlertOps has the ability to notify people via phone call, SMS, push notification via our mobile app, as well as email, along with chat tools like Teams or Slack. And that's exactly what you see here. We see the baseline functionality. So we can see that we have different policies set up for different roles, primary, secondary manager, for whatever team this is applied against. And we see we have the concept of centralized versus user rules. Centralized rules essentially mean that I have the ability to centrally manage how every single member of a particular role gets notified. Now, in the case that I switch it over to user, however that user defines it can be their primary notification methods, but then a standard wait time between escalation of users. So fairly flexible there. And this is one area that we see managed service providers heavily use when needing to delineate between priorities, right? In the case something is non-critical, but still needs to be addressed, at that point, allow users to set up their own preferred notification methods and their own escalation path. Versus in the case that something crosses a threshold of a certain criticality, make it centralized. So you know that there are no possible chances of anything slipping through the cracks because that escalation process has been solidified. And on the right-hand side here, we can actually see that timeline as far as how it escalates through this particular group that we've got here. So that level of redundancy here, you'd think that at 91 minutes, 100%, someone along the lines would have acknowledged this. Yes, absolutely. But things happen. And as a byproduct of that, you can configure AlertOps to make it as annoying as possible to make sure whoever needs to get up out of bed or whoever needs to take acknowledgement of something does so in a timely manner. Now let's take a look at some of the other pieces of escalations, because right now we've talked about escalations themselves, but we haven't really talked about what those escalations expand into in the concept of a playbook. So let's click on this workflow tab here. Escalation rules house all constituent workflows beyond just that linear chain of escalation, right? Anyone can say we want to hit person one, then after 10 minutes, person two, then after another 10 minutes, person three, but everything else that happens. So turning that straight line into more of a tree to branch out and handle additional scenarios. So if we take a look at these workflows, I have workflow set up to automatically create a status page IO incident, close a status page IO incident. In the case that in the case of 1 hour prior to the SLA being reached, notifying a manager automatically, and then notifying the owner of the ticket every hour post assignment until it's actually resolved. So fairly straightforward and repetitive communication mechanisms that extend beyond just that linear path. Additionally, I have workflows to automatically interact with my tickets coming out of my PSA. So in this case, if someone takes assignment in AlertOps, push that back to ConnectWise and vice versa. Similarly with closure. In the case that you would want an audit trail of who received various signals at what point, you can definitely log that automatically directly back to your ticketing system as well. So the workflows are critical to turning an escalation rule into a playbook because they have the capacity to, one, notify people that branch out of that linear path of escalation, but also pretty much talk to any third-party tool that has an API. So AlertOps on the outbound side can talk to any REST or SOAP API, and most tools now with comprehensive APIs, there's a lot more that can be automated than just opening and assigning tickets, which really comes back to doing things with tools like ConnectWise Automate or other RPA systems, where you can set up automated remediation that can run automatically as a byproduct of a workflow condition, or can be added as an outbound action. So outbound actions are things that can be executed on the fly. And when you take a look at the outbound actions that I've got here, create ticket priority 1, create ticket priority 2. Let's say that not everything can be automatically triaged based on rule sets via system. Some things require human input, and that's just how they are. You can't change that. So the ability to, on the fly, make a decision as far as whether this warrants that baseline of criticality, and then execute. You're just button away rather than having to log into your PSA system. And then once you're logged in, being able to fill out a ticket appropriately. AlertOps provides you that level of convenience with the tap of the button. Now that we've taken a look at escalation rules, there are a couple of other areas within the tool that I'd like to cover before our time is up here. So the first is going to be service status. AlertOps has the concept of standard users that can interact with alerts, but then we also have stakeholder users. So these are informational or one-way communication users that don't necessarily interact with any notifications or alerts that are sent out, but have some level of visibility just to be appraised of what's going on within their environment. So this service status feature that we have here is an internal status page, if you will. And your stakeholders have the ability to opt in to notifications that they care about. Build out your network topology, build out whatever hierarchy that you would like, and provide opt-in functionality for any management or end user stakeholders that would want informational notifications via email or SMS. Now that we've actually taken a look at some of the key features within AlertOps, let's take a look at some of the actual alerting and take a look at the response capabilities. So here we have our alerts grid view. You can see that I have a bunch of sample data in here in red, which indicates that none of these have met their corresponding SLAs, which is not a good thing. Now, if we jump into a particular alert, we are initially brought to our details page. So this is just giving you the generic information surrounding the alert in itself, what information AlertOps captured out of the box, so the default fields, any correlation fields, so that you can normalize data coming from different tools, and then finally, the custom fields specific to your tool. In this case, for my ConnectWise Manage integration, I'm capturing my board name, my company name, and ticket ID. Let's say you also wanted to capture priority as well as region. You could definitely do so. Going back to the alert object, it's fairly extendable. So you have the ability to capture pretty much any data that exists within your source tool. Now, a few response actions that we're going to see directly from the web interface itself is collaboration, right? Make it easy for people to interact with one another throughout the course of the alert or service request lifecycle. So easily send out any replies. In the case that you'd want to add others, maybe you need a specific user, or alternatively, you know that someone from a particular group would be more equipped to resolve this issue. You can select an entire group, and based on whoever's on the schedule for that particular group, they will automatically be notified and escalated through. So you don't necessarily need to know who's on call from the level 2 support team today to send it to the level 2 support team. Now, from a messages standpoint, we have an audit trail of all communication here. So who was notified via what channel and how, and all of this data can be transmitted back to your PSA. So you have a bit more single pane of visibility into what happened throughout the course of your service requests or incident lifecycle. And this is especially beneficial for management, service desk managers that want to review the level of efficiency within their service desk. And when we take a look at the actual ticket in itself, you see that upon assignment, the corresponding owners have been updated. We have the ability to log any notes, but beyond that, we can pretty much write to any data field within a ticketing system. So any of these fields that you see, or any custom fields within this ticketing tool, or virtually any ticketing tool with an API, you can go ahead and modify to potentially even initiate downstream business rules or downstream workflows that exist within your PSA or ITSM. Now, the last thing that I want to show you guys before I hop off here and hand it over to Vonahi is going to be our AlertOps mobile app. Everyone knows that realistically, after hours, there's a very low chance that you're just staring at your machine, waiting for the next service request to pop up because you're on call. And unfortunately, while I say the chances of that are low, we see that all the time. People are worried about missing service requests, so they expect their on-call engineers to be glued to their screens pretty much all night. That's where the AlertOps mobile app comes into play. Make sure that your engineers have a life. On-call sucks. That doesn't mean we can't make it better. So with AlertOps, being able to provide that level of redundancy through escalations, as well as being able to provide instant visibility through multiple channels of communication, pretty much eradicates that need that someone is staring at their machine for 8 hours at a time. Now, let's jump into some open alerts, and we can take a look at what is going on within an open alert and how we can use the mobile app to actually respond. So I'll take this alert, for example. We have our summary, some basic information, the alert number, timestamp, and criticality. Directly from the mobile app, if I swipe right to the alert, I can close, assign, as well as escalate, add recipients, reply, add a note, or launch an outbound action. When I click into the alert, I will have those same options, but with visibility into a bit more information. So I can see that I have my board name, my company name, my ticket ID that have been captured, my URL back to my ConnectWise ticket. And then additionally, I have a dropdown built in the case that I'd want to explicitly change the ticket status without changing the alert status. So maybe I want to label this as a duplicate, or maybe I want to see pending review, but not necessarily close out the. That level of flexibility exists directly from your mobile app with the exact same response actions. When we click into outbound action here, we have a few automation options. So I can execute an API call to another system to restart a service. I can generate a WebEx meeting on the fly. I can create an incident. I have the ability to assign a user. So a lot of these can be attached as ad hoc actions or attached to automated workflows. When we take a look at the messages, we have a full audit trail of that communication presented directly within the mobile app, as well as the ability to reply and add others to the alert. And then finally, the timeline, which is a less verbose kind of overview as far as what happened throughout the course of your alert. So I think that's, from a big picture perspective, that's about all I wanted to show you within the actual tool in itself. But with that said, I think some of the key takeaways with respect to what AlertOps can do for you and what AlertOps can do for your business really starts with improving operations and improving the lifestyle of both your service desk technicians and your service desk managers. Based on, if you like what you saw today and based on today's session, please feel free to reach out to sales@alertops.com or check us out on our website. If you found us through the Humanize IT sponsored webinar for the emerging technology, please mention that to any sales representative that you talk with for an exclusive discount of 1 month off a 1-year subscription, along with 3 hours of dedicated onboarding professional services. Thank you, really appreciate it, and really appreciate you, everyone hopping on. But yeah, excited to see what's next. I will go ahead and hand it over to Key from Vonahi.
Hey, what's up, Cam? Thank you so much.
Cam.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining today. My name is Key Tran. I'm with Vonahi. I'm going to share my screen here, and we can take a look at our platform. All right, so I actually come from the MSP world, right? I've worked at small MSPs, massive MSPs, and then gigantic global MSPs. And the theme is consistent. We're always changing things. We're working with little resources, and there's really no time to figure out, well, is everything perfect? Is everything exactly the way I expect it to be? Is everything going to be secure, right? We're constantly sitting kind of in the dark, just hoping and praying that, hey, hopefully my client or me, we're not going to be the next ones to get hit, right? And being a service provider, excuse me, if you get hit, it's, in a way, it doesn't look great, right? It might not be game over, but definitely doesn't look great. And so we've taken a very complex, a very difficult skill set, and we've turned it into something that MSPs can use easily, very easily. But we've done a lot of things here that's great for MSPs. First thing is the whole solution is white label capable. In the top right-hand corner, if you go to manage branding info, you can actually theme and change the branding of the platform and of the reports. Now, there's a couple of use cases for this, right? If it's a situation where, you need to meet a compliance requirement, it has to be a third-party pen test, you keep our branding and it will be a third-party pen test. Matter of fact, no matter how you do it, it will always be a third-party pen test because it's our platform doing it. But you can actually use it to brand it yourself. So for example, if you're doing a QBR, you're doing a review session with your client, or maybe it's a prospect, you can keep your branding and provide that report to them. The next thing we did is we made the entire solution multi-tenant. That's right. You can actually pull in companies and have multiple companies in here, manage their subscriptions, manage the assessments, all in one place. We're also ConnectWise integrated now. So you can actually connect into Manage, pull over companies, have tickets created for the pen test results we find, and have it pushed into the boards that you want. That way your team can remediate it. So how do I get this pen test started, right? You're saying it's so easy, and I stand by that. It is actually very easy because I am not a pen tester. I come from the MSP world. My background is in systems engineering. I used to design data centers and design infrastructure. Pen testing has always been cool. I understand it, but I am not a pen tester, and I can pen test using this platform. So it's basically 3 steps. You create your companies, create a new company. I got a little nervous there. I thought it was going to come up, but I clicked it wrong. All right. You can give it a name, short name, something you want to identify with. I'm just going to go with T, industry, and you pick your time zone. And that's it. You hit save, and then now that company is created. Obviously, you also need to drop in the domain. So what we do with the domain here is whenever we do external pen testing, we'll use that domain to crawl pretty much the internet to try to pull in public information. Part of that is DNS records, doppelganger domains, some Shodan stuff, but basically we use that to gather as much information as we can during the externals. All right. So create your company. If you're going to do an internal assessment, you need an agent. The agent is a single probe in each physical network location of that client. So if it's like a hub spoke model, you'll want one agent at each physical network location, but that's only for internals. Again, it takes about 30-40 minutes to deploy the agent. Very simple. We have a very comprehensive help center article that will walk you through how to do that. And of course, if you ever have any problems, you can reach out to support and we'll show you how to do that as well. Create the company, set up the agent. If you're doing internal, externals, no agents required at all. And that's it. Then the next step is just to schedule the assessment. The assessment, the only technical information that you will ever need to provide to set up the pen test is the IP addresses. That's it. Other than that, it's 7 sets of questions, and then providing some IP addresses, and then our platform takes it from there. Now, the beauty is it's a true pen test, right? Because a vulnerability scan, it's great at telling you, hey, these are all your problems. Are they actually exploitable? We don't know, right? You're kind of, maybe they are, maybe they're not. With pen testing, we're taking it a step further, kind of what Jason said earlier, right? We're taking it several steps further by trying to exploit it, right? Exploit the vulnerabilities and get as far as we can. Our entire goal in our methodology is to escalate privileges, gain access to sensitive data, and then basically try to break down all the doors and see as much as we can. So, but I get it. There's been a lot of confusion in the industry between vuln scanning, automated pen testing. Is automated pen testing a real thing? To kind of give everyone a peace of mind from the moment we start our pen test all the way into reporting and QA, all that is fully automated. No human ever looks at it. But at the very tail end here in our QA process, we do have a team of pen testers on our side that do several things. One, they actually validate the results. They validate the reports, make sure that everything looks accurate, everything looks clean, the formatting looks great. But more importantly, we spend so much time on security research to enhance our own platform, to enhance our own methodology. So there is a little bit of a human element to it at the very end, for your benefit, but also for our benefit, and actually for the community as a whole, because instead of spending all of their time crunching out pen tests, that traditional pen testers would do all the time, they're spending the bulk of their time creating new methods, creating new exploits, basically doing a lot more security research in efforts to make MSPs and their clients a lot more secure. Now, our platform, it's unique in that when the pen test is running, you can come in here, like I have right here, and you can actually watch the entire thing in real time. This is very unique because a traditional pen test engagement, you'll never get an activity log like this. A human cannot, sit there, do something, write it down. I mean, they could, it's going to cost you a lot more and it's going to take you forever. And, humans make mistakes, right? Not on purpose, it just happens. But the beauty here is you can come to this activity log, see everything as it's happening, but also if you're testing out your security tools, you can come back in here and correlate this data, the activity log data, back to whatever your security tool was saying. So for example, if an EDR flagged, one of our movements, you can come in here and say, okay, well, on Tuesday at 11/8/2022 at 9:21, this happened. What did EDR do, right? So activity log. Now, the best part is we're going to give you so much information on how to fix the problems that we find, in addition to what we actually found. If you come in here into pentest findings, you can click on action, view finding details. We're going to give you the description, the recommendations, the impact it has on the network, and how you can reproduce it yourself if you want manually. But instead of, to save you on a lot of time, we're actually going to give you the evidence too, that we were actually truly able to exploit that vulnerability. The other thing is for example, this one, right? We found a password document on a network share. Now you're probably wondering, well, are you just going to house all of my customer sensitive data all over your platform? Absolutely not. We don't want that. That's a problem for you. It's a problem for us. We don't want to add to your problems or our own. So what we do is anything leaving your customer environment into our platform, it's encrypted in transit and at rest. And what's crazy is there's a lot of automation built in that obfuscates sensitive data as it leaves. So in our reporting, you'll never see plain text credentials, sensitive data, et cetera, on the reports. You know, reports get passed around. We don't want to add to the problem. All right. So on the topic of reports, sorry, I have to move this little screen here. We have several types of reports, and it depends on the situation you're in and what you should present. But like I said, everything's automated up into QA, right? The reports get released anywhere from between 2 to 5 business days. You actually have that option when you go to set up the assessment. But typically, if you're going to be speaking to a non-technical person, right, a business owner, the executive report is the best report to bring to that meeting, because we keep it very, very high level. Really, most business owners, they don't really care about the nitty-gritty technical details, right? They just want to know, how bad does it look? How much is it going to cost me? And what are you going to do to fix it? So that's exactly what this report was built for. The best report for your technical teams to remediate this is our technical report. The technical report can be lengthy. For example, this one is 72 pages. It can be a little bit of a dry read, but you know, if you're a techie, you'll love it, because we provide so much detail. I actually enjoy reading these now, especially the ones where, you know, it gets kind of juicy, because whenever you start reading and understanding how our platform was able to move through the network, gain access, crack password hashes, pull user accounts, find sensitive data, it gets pretty exciting. But again, very, very thorough details with evidence, with screenshots on how we got everything. So that is pretty much it. That is how easy it is to run pen testing with our platform. But I understand that, you know, most MSPs, right, you might be staffing more on the tier 1 side. And really, as long as someone understands what IP addresses are and which IP addresses needs to be in scope, they can schedule a pen test with our platform. But we take it a couple steps further there too. We have a very comprehensive help center that provides a ton of information on how to use our platform. We also provide guidance on some of our findings. In addition to that, you're not alone. We don't use the terms partner loosely, right? We truly mean that, meaning after every single assessment, if you need someone to sit down with you and review the reports with you, or even your client, we'll absolutely do that. You know, and of course, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to us at support@vpentest.io. You can call us, you can email us, or use our help center to create a ticket. And with that said, I will pass it over to Adam to talk about Humanize IT.
What's your special deal?
Oh yeah, we do have a special deal. I should have put on my hat, but I didn't do that. So our special deal is right now, if you sign up, you know, through this Humanize webinar, we'll give you 2 free months off of your you know, your 1-year subscription.
2 months to pay for your tool.
Yeah. No, it's you know, it's an interesting tool in that, you know, you can use it to better secure your clients, but you can also monetize it quite easily.
Yeah. So I'm you know, thank you, Key. This, you know, before I move into mine, what you guys need to see here is that, you know, by creating more efficiency with AlertOps and having Vonahi pen testing and going, you now are able to deliver at a higher rate. You're actually able to enhance your stack. So putting these two together, now the question is, now that you have these two service offerings, what are we going to do? Key, you're still sharing your screen. I'm going to steal it from you.
Oh,
So
sorry, that was
move you guys over to my special view here because I'm cool. I don't have the flashy hat and I don't have a unicorn shirt. So those of you who saw us at IT Nation, we have these cool augmented reality unicorn shirts where the unicorn comes alive, because our whole thing is we found a problem in the IT industry is that the average engineer, technician, or account manager doesn't have VCIO capabilities. And we realized that we have a tool between, so the history of our company was that we were consultants. So we were trying to teach MSPs how to be VCIOs. And we bought a tool to reflect how we were teaching and what we were doing. And over time, Skip and I came up with a framework where when you take a technician, an engineer, or a account manager, you can give them the powers of a VCIO overnight. And this seems gimmicky, and it's not. You know, it feels gimmicky because so many people promise this. They promise that they can turn people into VCIOs. It's not so much the VCIO we're trying to deliver. A VCIO's only job in reality is to help a company be profitable using their technology. It's not about business process improvement. It's not about doing any kind of business analytics. That's what BAs are for. That's what business analysts are for. A CIO is simply looking at their customer and saying, how do I help them with technology that will make them profitable? And our tool helps you do that because you already have a great stack. You already have great engineers. You just need to show your client how it's going to help them. And that's what this tool does. So we can take somebody like a Vonahi, where they're fantastic at what they do with their pen testing. You get this new capability. You've got AlertOps. So you're able to outperform your competitors and able to get them and show that they are not going to respond to tickets as fast. They're not going to be as responsive as you are. But now you need to get that perceived value so your clients buy in. And it's a simple process. So what we have done is we've created this wonderful tool here called Humanize IT, which is the merger of Virtual C and Managed Services Platform in 2021. The reason you have not heard of us is because we just launched the merged product this year, 2022, and we're not done yet. So this is the original program. The idea is that you needed to assess your clients and figure out what do they actually need. You need to do a gap analysis for your clients. And Skip always says, if you look at what we do, you can do anything we do with a big chief notebook and a number 2 pencil. We're just making it easier. We're saving you time and making it so that it's simple. So what we do is we break your existing stack into 4 pillars. So you come over here and you say, you can see the reports here. Each one of these is an audit. And this is the first thing you do is you assess. Then you're going to recommend, then you're going to budget, and then you're going to run the project roadmap. So when you assess, you're going to assess them in 4 areas: architecture, services, risk, and strategy. Once you've done all 4 of those, then you're going to fall into the recommendations phase. So here's what an assessment looks like. So if we go over to the architecture assessment, so architecture are things that your client has: software, hardware. Services are things that you do for them. Risks are gap analysis like NIST. And then strategy is going to be, how often are you doing what with them? Are you reviewing the architecture? Are you reviewing their security posture? And so as you come down here, you can see under the architecture assessment that we're like, hey, we have, this is how our client looks across all these areas. Your client really doesn't care how many sticks of RAM you have. Your client does not care about a lot of this stuff, but you do need to figure out, are they running Office 365 or are they running Corel Word Perfect 7? You can put your stack in here. I don't care what it is. Maybe they're still running HyperStudio. I'm showing my age, but this is the way it is. So you're doing these high level opportunities of your stack as it is. We've got this pre-built one in here that's very generic that you can use, and you can now have a way for your account managers or technicians or anybody to easily assess a client. Now, if you make this more technical, you can have your engineer fill it out while they're watching blue lines at a client. So let's say your engineer is installing a server, they're waiting for things to upload, or they're building a VMware cluster. They can fill this out in ConnectWise and see where they are and make their recommendations so they don't have to go on site with the customer. Saves a lot of time. And when you make a recommendation, it goes up onto this roadmap here. And you can see I have some recommendations from Vonahi and AlertOps up here. And you can only make those recommendations if they're in your stack. And so you come up here and say, are they using single volume or dual, or are they doing a subscription? If you've got this, you'll see it dynamically changes. This is how you make recommendations. If there's a gap, you can make a recommendation and you can put it on the table. So you can go through all of the reports that you have, and this is your assessment tool. This is the smallest part of our tool, but it is foundational. So you can even go over to the cybersecurity overview and pen test. Now that you're engaging with engaging with vPenTest, you can now have the executive summary in here. They build this for you. It's ready to go. And so you don't have to do a lot of this work. You're copying and pasting, copy pasta. They've done it for you. And so you can come down into the, where's it at? Oh, there we go. And you can see how did they score in like the identify category of a NIST assessment. What are the client projects for security that you've put? What recommendations came out of the pen test report or of your NIST security solution? And then you come down here and you can do a NIST cybersecurity overview only, because we want this to be quick. Each of these reports should take about 10 to 15 minutes to do. So we don't want to take your time up. We want to go through and say, hey, you maybe in Q1, you just want to run the identify stack, the identify family. Put these on there that you need to go through and you need to do an inventory analysis for the client. That's all this is. And then you come down to the bottom, you can see there's a vPenTest. What all things are you doing with vPenTest? How far are you on this? Have you run the vPenTest? Do you have a set of results from them? So I can open this up and say, hey, so for this client, I'm going to do an identify and I'm going to do a pen test. So I expand this out and I answer these questions. These are all the things that you can do for your client now that you're running Vonahi. The same thing goes with AlertOps. When you got services, you can now go into services reports and you can say, hey, we're offering a platinum level support. Because now we can respond faster. We can do this escalated tier because AlertOps is allowing us to respond faster for our priority clients. And you can put that in here. Are they in AlertOps as a diamond tier or a platinum tier or next level? What is it that you want to offer them now that you have AlertOps and you can expedite their services? So are they paying an extra fee on top? Yeah, so Skip says we do have the full NIST assessment, and this is just a basic copy of what NIST offers in their overview and on their website. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are not doing anything special. We're just making it easier to digest. So as you come down here, you can see like, where's your AlertOps? What is it you're doing for them? How are you providing support to your clients? And then do you want to upgrade their support? And you can see here in the recommendations what all they're doing. So once you have all this done, these 4 reports should take you about an hour for a client you know well. So when you come back here, this automatically builds some cool stuff for you. Now, we are an Invent certified partner, so we do integrate with ConnectWise, and a lot of that data comes in too. These are all opportunities in ConnectWise, and you can sync them back and forth. So our goal here is to show you that you can now have a recommendations dashboard. So we've gone from assessments, we've assessed the client, now we're moving into recommendations. This dashboard is fully shareable with the client with a public share that's obfuscated, and you will be able to share this with them and they can get a read-only version of what I'm about to show you. So they can come in here and they can see that you want to get them to 91%. So if they do all of your recommendations, they'll be adopting 91% of your stack. Well, what does that mean? The client has no clue. So let's put this in context. Compared to global companies, on average, companies that are using our tool and at our MSPs are adopting 50% of the stack. This is calculated every night using our own proprietary algorithms. So 50% is the average stack adoption score. What about if we were just to compare against your clients? So if you were to say, hey, my clients all score 60%. How is this client doing? Oh, they're 60%. Well, it's the only one in this tool, so it should match. How are they comparing against other people in their industry, other cigar companies? Well, they're the only cigar. Oh, it must be another cigar company in there somewhere. So other cigar companies are scoring 61% on average. So now you can put that peer pressure on. This is where that VCIO feel comes in, because now you're showing them how their stack adoption is affecting their business. How are they competing against people in their industry? This is just a click. And your client can do this via the share if they want to. And they can see, what are these recommendations down here? So here, provide third shift 24/7 service. So you now have AlertOps in there. You're able to cover the third shift because you're able to get those alerts quickly to your engineers. Maybe they're sleeping, or maybe you have automated remediation in place. And now you can offer that third shift coverage. It's going to cost an extra $1,200 a month or whatever that you end up paying. And now you can tell your client, starting in 2023, Q1, we're going to start charging you $1,200 a month to get this increased support. So now you have all of these findings here. Maybe they don't want to adopt all of them right now. Maybe they say, hey, we don't want to do fraud prevention quite yet. We can't afford to upgrade our firewall to do IPv6 DNS spoofing because it's just out of our budget right now. Okay, fine. It's been rejected. It's not on the table, or it's not been accepted and approved for budget, but it is on the table. So that next year, if it comes up, it's like, hey, are you ready to get rid of that spoofing for people coming in? You had a lot of problems with that over the holidays. They say, yes, we're willing to do it this year. So you have all these on the table at all times. Every time you come into a strategic session with your client, they get to see all the recommendations on the table. Once you've negotiated with your client and you say, hey, okay, now the stack adoption looks great. We're great with all these projects. This is where we want to be at the end of 2023. So you say, all right, how much is this going to cost? So we move into the budgeting section. So we've assessed, we recommended, and now we're budgeting. So we come over to the budget. And the cool thing about the budget is we pull in all the assets from your PSA. Or if you want to import them from ScalePad exports a CSV. Someday they'll have an API that we can integrate with, and I will be on that as quick as possible because I hate uploading CSVs. You can upload CSV from ScalePad, or you can sync with ConnectWise or Autotask, whatever your PSA is, we can work that out. And you're going to have your spitball, like, what does it cost to replace this? It's you're going to put it back here and back on the table. And so when you import assets and it sees that your average depreciation time for this is 4 years for a PC or a laptop, it's 5 years for a PC, it's 7 years for a switch. All that is in that little table in the background, and you import your assets. Every client you import your assets for, it's going to run your logic on it and say, hey, what does this look like? And so you can actually do a lot of cool things in here, but we are not an asset management tool. You can filter in here by depreciation cycle, and you can export this to a proposal once you have, hey, I want to replace these 3 PCs. You can actually attach this to a project and then send that to a proposal. But what we really want to show you is that once you've imported this, you click the sync button, all the assets come in. And if you click on one, I know you guys are asking, this is what it looks like. Whatever data you have in ConnectWise is what you see here. That's on you. If you got a messy backend, that's your problem. But you can clean it up here. You can edit things so it looks a little prettier. So you come over and you click on the budget, and the budget is automatically built for you. So what you have here is, this is blank because we have moved everything into 2023 for our demo purposes. So I go over to 2023. I want to see, my favorite view is monthly. Here is the budget for Lardo's Cigar Emporium in 2023. I'm going to move this over. So December, oops. So now we're January to December. You can see it behind my head here. Now how much is this going to cost on average? So the average budget is about $6,000 a month. Lardo's Cigar Emporium has a lot of sites. They have a bunch of kiosks, and they have a back office for accounting and administration. And this is what they need to pay for next year. And we see, wow, what's this spike here? Looks like they need to replace their servers. So they're like, well, can we cut down this cost at all? And so we come in here and we go to the servers and we say, let's move the server to 2024. Let's move that spike to 2024 because it's a recession. Supply chain is going to suck anyways. Let's go ahead and move that over. So now you see they're down to $3,000 a month. So you've saved them $2,000 a month just by moving that 2024. They'll still buy through you, but we all know the hardware margins suck anyways. You are a service provider, not a retailer. And so what you do is you say, hey, look, because we moved those servers into the next year, you're increasing your risk. So what's going to happen is your score is going to go down on your architecture. So we need to increase services to cover that. So we need to make sure AlertOps is notified that, hey, we have this aging server. We want to be hypersensitive to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in, I don't know what that spike is, Skip. We're going to add in, we're going to add in like gold level support. So what we've done is I have a service that I've added in here. And in my normal demo, I have it so that it shows that you're adding in $1,500 a month for gold level support, and you're reducing the cost by $2,000. So you're saving the client $1,500 or $500 a month, and you're going to increase their service level. So what are they getting? They're getting higher priority support, and it's costing them, it's saving them $500. So you're winning because services margins are what we want anyways. And the client is winning because they're saving $500 a month, a total of $6,000 next year. Sorry, I didn't have the narrative ready for this particular demo. But you can see here, you can create these narratives that smooth this out. So as you're discussing with the client in your strategy meeting, you're discussing the budget in the meeting, and they say, hey, this looks great. I love this. I want to go ahead and go forward with this. So you say export. You say confirm. So what's going to do is it's creating a series of projects month by month breakdown, because that's the view I'm looking at here. And I'm going to say it's Sean's and then I say, well, what did we do here? We did something simpler. We moved servers to 2024 and increased to platinum support. All right, so you see that now, and you click save, and now your new asset budget is out there. And you go over to your budget. I gotta make sure I'm in the right area here. There we go. So you go over to your proposals, which is a very simple section, and you're able to share this with your client. You can go through and share, like, hey, they've approved this. So they go and they say, I'm going to approve this. And you're going to get an email saying these projects have been approved for 2023. And maybe, you know, if you're asking yourself, can you do anything else here? Yes, you can go in and you can add in that gold level support. You can go ahead and say, hey, I want to go ahead and add in the third shift desk coverage. So you can see now it's added in with the value and how much it's going to cost. And you can send that proposal to them instead. So now they're really excited because you're saving them money. You save them $6,000 next year. You're making more money because you're selling more services. Everybody's happy. And so now you can say, okay, this is what we're running for 2023. We've got a $49,000 budget. We haven't gotten a quote yet. So all that work normally you have to do for quotes at the end of the year, we've taken that off your table. So no more worrying whether or not you can get a quote approved by your client. And that's a really beautiful thing. And Skip talks about this all the time in our product demo. So Skip is your customer success manager. He's the one that's going to train you one-on-one on this stuff. And the beauty is, usually if you're an engineer or you're an account manager, you spent like 6 hours building up this quote that I just built here in a few minutes, only to have your client say, I can't afford that. No. Well, there was an entire day of your time gone. Instead, we took a couple minutes in a meeting with the client, got buy-in from them, got approval from the CFO, and now you can go over to your project roadmap and you can run this. So now we have all those new Vonahi recommendations just got bought in on. That's like $4,000 of recommendations of remediation efforts. And you've got all these things down here that you're putting into this project review so that when your client approves this budget, so we didn't have everything in the budget because I'm moving fast. But when you have all this stuff in the budget and your client approves it, you see these things turn green because now you can do them. But they rejected this one because it was too much. And so your engineers now know on a month-by-month basis, you can switch your view over here. What are we doing in which month? So we can see over here, the asset management that we just exported, you can see how much it's going to cost for each month. And it's all lined up for you. It's ready to go. And so all you have to do is run it. So when you come to January, then you can quote. It's already been pre-approved. And what you can do now is you just run. Your engineer doesn't have to worry about it. You can also use this tool to say, okay, who's doing what for this client right now? So if you're an account manager, you can sit down and say, hey, what about my laptops? Well, you know, are we replacing any of those this month? I want to get them in on a bulk order. So you can filter by those kinds of projects. You can filter by security projects. You can filter by risk projects. So I can say, filter, here's all my Vonahi. Here's all of my risk assessments that I need to do. They're already in there. They already have been approved, except for this one. So this is how you run your year. And the really excellent thing is, now that you're doing this for each of your clients, you now have a project roadmap that records every expense you have on the table across all of your clients. So not just Lardo's Emporium, you can do Joe's Trucks. You can have your Goldfish studio that you do, the schools, everybody. And so you can come in here and you can say at your monthly meetings internally to your MSP, okay, how much cash do we have on the table? How many projects are approved? How many projects do we have that are still in the recommendation phase that we have not got approval for? You could have conversations internally about how to generate more revenue, because your whole goal is to move things through your funnel. Why isn't the client buying in? So you can start having these conversations on a monthly basis with your internal teams. So you can come over here and talk through, what is this? Why is it stuck? Add your notes in. Are there any assets tied to this? All this is recorded for you. The goal here is to take the Mark Twain quote. I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. It takes a lot of effort to make things this simple. As you can see, there's a lot going on in the background because you've already collected it inside either Vonahi's tool or AlertOps tool, or you've collected it inside ConnectWise. We're just pulling that information out for you. And then when you have conversations with your clients, you're recording your notes inside these so that now you can have ongoing conversations. You don't get to forget you had this client. You don't forget that you are going to recommend this IPv6 hardening on their firewall. It now comes up every time you talk to them. And that's the beauty of having these dashboards. It makes it simple so that you can increase buy-in. You can say, why do I want to do that? You don't want to do a help desk service. You want to provide some support for the third shift, because those guys and girls are tired and they call in, and the last thing they want to do is feel like they're ignored. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase your service level to cover them. That's a business solution. If you sell your gold support, client's not going to buy that. If you sell them that you're caring for their employees, you will. And so we recommend when you come through here, rename these recommendations so that over time, as you get new account managers and you get new people coming in, that they can now see where the client is going, and the client can see their journey. And when you share this with them, they can go ahead and click in here, and they can do this anytime they want. They now have a dashboard. They can look at all times to see what's the status of this. Have you added any notes into it? They don't need to call you every 5 minutes asking where are you at on this project. It's already recorded here and it's shared to them. They can see this at any time. They can click through and have this. They can have this to show to their board. They can have to show to their donors. They can have to show to their CFO. So whenever they need to do a presentation, you're making them look like a hero because they can see. And your competitors are not doing this. So what you want to do is come in and do this so that you look like a hero. So the last thing we can show you, and if I remember right, it's over here, is you want to show your, if you have a larger MSP, let's say you've got like 3 to 5 account managers, or you want to train up some new account managers so that you as the owner of the company don't have to be sitting there doing account management all the time. You have a way of doing things as an owner. You want to hand this off to an account manager, or you are the account manager and you want to hand this off to some new lackeys so they can do it. You can put your secret sauce in here as a playbook, and you can trend, how are you doing with clients? What activities did you do in November? Looks like we did a client engagement, we did a service review, and we're gonna do a report. So you can come in and you can manage your account manager's activities over time. So I look at Sean Lardo's Cigar Emporium and I say, here's how he is doing this over time. Here's the trend. Here are the upcoming things that we need to do. If you get another client coming in, so that's a class A, they get treated the same way. Did you miss a thing? Looks like you did not do your pen test. So it got skipped. So it's in red. You should probably get that done. So you need to get all these scheduled so that you treat these class A clients with style and consistency. And that is a huge value for those of you with 3 or more. Yeah, Skip loves this stuff. This is a huge value for those of you who are business owners who want to get out of the account management role. You get your secret sauce in here. You customize it. Skip will help you build it. You don't do it alone. And then you know exactly who you need to hire so that they are bringing cookies to your clients. They're making a phone call to them once a month. Whatever it is that is your secret sauce. What is your playbook? And so what we want to make sure you do is, like, as well, when you're doing your playbook, I always forget this part, is that you're making sure you're recording who you're meeting with. If you met with the janitor, it's going to be a low score. If you met with the CEO or CFO, it's going to be a high score. If you, dropped off jelly for the goldfish or whatever, it's going to be like 1 point. But if you came in and had a strategic meeting with the CEO, that's going to be 100 points. So these variety of activities we have here, yes, you manually enter them. But the idea is that you are recording and ensuring that your clients are being taken care of, especially the high value ones. You do not want them dropped through the cracks. If you have a client going really well, as we all know in IT, when things are going really well, things get quiet. You stop talking to your clients, which is a perfect time for the new MSP to come swoop in. So what we want to do is make sure that across all your clients, you're staying above your line for engagement so that you have really happy clients. Happy clients equal more project buy-in. More project buy-in means more revenue for you. That's one of the biggest things we notice when we bring on a new a member of our group, is that you stop meeting. You're like, oh, is there any way to automate the reports going to the clients? No, your client doesn't want an automated report. They want to talk to a human who's going to help their business grow. That's why we do client engagement scores, because you should be talking to your clients. If you don't want to talk to your clients, you probably don't fit here. So the goal is, the more you talk to your clients, the more revenue you have. But you're not made of time. You need a dashboard. You need a way to track recommendations so they're constantly in front of them on what they need to be doing to make their company grow. And that is the core of what we do. On top of all this, our community is pretty big. So we have a lot of things going on, like this event today. We do this once a month. If you come to our events, anybody can attend these events. You don't have to be a member of our platform to do this, but we are always trying to encourage MSPs to have better conversations. That's how we want to change the world, is we want to encourage technical people to have conversations with business people. And so what you do here is you can come into our community updates. They're every Thursday, except for we're going to go on hiatus for the next 2 weeks for the holidays. And we run an entire roadmap. So we have a list of scheduled activities. You can see our history of advice that we give on how to have better engagement with your clients. You can come in here and you can have, if you're a member, you can have a meeting and ask questions about the tool. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you can walk in to a meeting, a Zoom meeting, you can drop in and say, hey, I cannot figure out where this is in the tool. We are there to answer questions every week. And then we have a webinar every month. And then finally, you can always do a one-on-one session with us. And over to the right here, these are free for everybody. We have a podcast that comes out every Monday, and we are up to episode 231 today, or on Monday. And we are very popular. People evidently listen to us. It's 20 minutes long. Get advice. Check out our YouTube channel, our blog, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you want. But we are constantly coming out with advice to help your account managers stay on top of their game. As I said, you can do everything that our tool does with a Big Chief notebook and a No. 2 pencil. But why not save yourself some time to have some of this heavy lifting done and taken care of for you? You can also come in here and you can check out the shared links for the two studios. You can see what they are, how they're doing this. You can play around and click on this right now. And that is for you to demo. You can do this for your clients as well. Like, hey, if you go with us, you get a dashboard like this that tracks and creates transparency with our team. Almost done, guys. I'm running out of my mouth is getting dry here. So how much do we cost? It's very simple. If you don't want to change anything, you're a one-man shop, grab the essentials. Everything you saw there is already done for you. Just start running it. You'll be up and running this afternoon. If you are an MSP who has a couple engineers and an account manager, and you want to edit and have your own stack that you're delivering, maybe you really heavy into VoIP, or maybe you've got Vonahi already as a customer or as a vendor, and you've got AlertOps as a vendor, and you want to customize your stack to show off who you are. That's expert. You can edit things, you can add them, you can sell My Little Ponies, whatever you want to sell in your stack. At the elite level, that's where you get that client engagement score. You're going to be able to track what you're doing with your clients and when. And so that you can make sure that your account managers are reflecting the excellence that you've already set. So if you're a business owner, this is huge. Enterprise is multi-tenancy. If you're an MSP who likes to buy other MSPs, you can actually take your report, your stack, and then now it's handed down to them. Most people end up with elite because they love the client engagement score. Most smaller MSPs end up with expert because they want to customize their stack. And so and you can click enroll right now. This will get you in within the next 2 minutes. Click this, sign up. And if you sign up from this webinar, I think Skip will post the coupon code in here. We're doing something we've never really done before. I'm a little nervous about it as a business owner because, giving percentages off is great. But what we're going to do today is, for the first time ever, is we're giving 25% off whatever package you buy. And what that means is, if you come in and you decide that 2023, you're going to commit to doing client engagement, that you're going to take this year of service, which is what 2023 is. If you're in community update today, you would have seen that 2023 is where people are going to buy less and they're going to ask for more services. So if you want to take our software and show people this narrative, how you're going to save them money on buying and increase service levels, and you said that the entire year you're going to do this, that is 25% off $6,000. So you're going to save over $1,500 on the elite, and you're going to save over $1,000 on expert, and you don't have to pay until January. We'll give you 30 days for free, so you can take your holiday season, you can relax, not worrying about trial, not worry about onboarding. We'll set up an onboarding session for you mid-January. You don't have to worry about paying, and if you don't like what you see, cancel. So you'll also get a follow-up email here with all these promos in it. We'll reach out, but if you sign up using today's promo, Skip, or do you have it in there? Oh, fine, I'll do it. So if you use this promo code, you go in here and you apply that to one of these packages today, you get 25% off the whole package. We are month to month if you want, and you'll get 25% off this package instead. So annual, we have never given 25% off an annual package, ever. We've never discounted an annual package. So this is the first and maybe the only time we'll do this. So this will only exist for the next 2 weeks, and then we're done with it. So get on board, line up your 2023. Just commit, say, hey, I'm going to spend the next 12 months impressing my clients and getting this going. It only takes a couple hours to get our package going. It only takes a little bit. Depending on the complexity of the package, Skip will walk with you through how to onboard 3 to 5 clients that you already have. So by the end of your onboarding session, you're already running with existing clients. You're already making increased profits. If you check us out on channel program, we got rated there. We will increase your profits and revenue according to other MSPs. So that means that more project buy-in, more revenue in on an annual process. A lot of our clients say you pay for this with your first meeting. So my call to action is go out, sign up for a trial right now, no payments until mid to end of January, so 30 days. And you will have an excellent 2023. So I'm going to ask Jason and Cam to come back on and answer some of these questions that have been stacking up. If they haven't fallen asleep yet. Jason still there?
I'm still here. I'm just going to join anyway.
Just walk your way in. So we do have a few questions in here. One of the first questions was, what level of technician do you need to be to use your products? So for me, it's entry level. I grab a random kid off the street and they can use my tool. What about?
Yeah, I'd say from. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
I say, Cam, what do I need to be like? Do I need to be a tier 3 engineer to build what you have?
Not at all. So I'd say that 99% of people, you can have entry level or even non-technical users come in and set up any of the out-of-the-box integrations. Now, one of the cool things about AlertOps is that it's flexible, right? So as a byproduct of that, let's say that you want to do a lot of crazy stuff with workflows and outbound API calls, things like that. Then maybe a level 2 technician, but then additionally, we have dedicated customer experience engineers that would guide you through that process and help you build some of those templates as well.
Yeah. So same with Vonahi, right? Our platform, like I said, I showed you, it's very simple. You don't have to be a pen tester to use it. Really, the most technical piece is understanding the network, right? And really just the IPs. As long as you can determine what IPs need to be in scope, that's really about it. Now, the other side to that, though, right? That's just to use the platform. That's just to schedule the pen test. I mean, technically, anyone can do that. Interpreting the pen test and remediation, obviously, now you have more technical people involved to remediate, and also from the sales side. And that's why a platform like Humanize is great, because you get to understand on the best way to either sell additional products, interpret the reports, communicate the report, etc.
I see this was answered in the Q&A, but just so everybody can see it, do you, Vonahi, do you do an external pen test or internal?
Both. So we could do both an external pen test. So we do 2 tests, external, internal, and it could be either be a pen test or a Vuln scan or both at the same time.
All right. Cam, I know you kind of answered this with the last one, but do you like the setup, like for AlertOps, like, somebody has their ticketing system in place. How does the customer, like, can they use it, or what's the setup look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So from that standpoint, fairly straightforward, right? That piece, you don't really need to even be technical, as long as you're an admin, your ticketing tool, either via email or via API, configure your ticketing tool to push stuff to us. And at that point, AlertOps takes it from
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done a learning system in forever. I used to manage one for a large corporation, and it was a pain to set up. So do you help out with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that where we help the most is where there are more complex use cases. And I think that for us, the last maybe 2 years was a big eye opener, because we were very gung ho about functionality. Oh, we want to do this, we want to do that. But then, kind of along the lines of this question, we hunkered down, and we're also releasing a new version of our application. Hopefully, will be out mid-January. And that really focuses on the simplicity portion of it, right? Let's make the things that are complex, that need to be complex, but everything else, south of that, let's make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because like I said, I being kind of like on the side of the fence of like dealing with alerts, there's 2 things that used to bother me the most. People get slammed with alerts, and they're like, well, it gets to a point where they just start deleting alerts because like there's just too many, they're just pointless. It's just a noise generator, right? But having AlertOps give you actionable alerts, the ones that actually matter, and then drill down into the items that actually affect it, that basically just shaved off a whole ton of time from tier 1 having to provide information that they never freaking provide. That used to drive me nuts about the tier 1 guys. Like, they'll do a bunch of things on a ticket and not provide enough documentation to understand what all they did. And I'm like, well, where did this even start from? So having AlertOps provide that level of granularity goes a long way. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of like where I'm sitting here, like, one of Humanize IT's things is people ask us, like, well, what do you do? We're like, well, we don't do operations. That's where Kingdom comes in. That's where Key comes in. That's where Vonahi. We don't mess with who you are as an operational entity. And so you can create excellence with these companies in their areas, and then you can shine for your clients. And because too many tools try to be everything to everyone, AlertOps is, they also do pen testing. They also, will wax your car for you. And then ends up being that they're just okay at everything. But when you've got like AlertOps, who's focused on excellence with detangling tickets, when you've got Vonahi, who's focused on excellent in the pen testing market, that is where you start seeing people who are going to be awesome and they fit into your stack so cleanly is the thing. So you know who to call, like when you're having problems with alerting, you call Cam. You know who to call when you need to have a new pen testing contract done, you call Key. And so there's a face, there's an ease of use there. And with our tool, our recommendations will show you like, hey, this is the project that's going on. You're working with Vonahi on this, or you're working with AlertOps on this. And that's kind of like how you want to make things simple for your clients. If you overcomplicate things and say you've got this big suite and all these things you can do, your clients just can be like, I don't know what to do next. You got to simplify how you're engaging with your client. You've got to simplify your alerting, so your engineers know what they're doing. You got to simplify security so clients understand like, oh, this is actually something you can exploit and this is an actual threat to us. You got to simplify those conversations. And that's called the Humanize methodology. You want to talk to somebody on their terms so that they can grasp and say, this is important. You can talk to them until you're blue in the face about that new layer 7 firewall with IPS in it. But if you don't show them the why and how it's going to help their company grow, they won't care. You can talk to them until you're blue in the face about your platinum support and how great it is. But until they see like, wow, they're going to show up faster, they're going to close this ticket in less than 10 minutes or do something that you can guarantee and show them, they won't care. They'll say, oh, why would I want platinum support? Mm-hmm. So you got to show them the why. Skip it. Am I missing any of these questions here? Can I use Humanize IT for the security part, or is it all in one? We're all in one. So you can actually shut off, like you can say, like, just go with the IT solutions and just show people the security report. So if you just want to do the Vonahi pen test and the NIST assessment, you can just share that one report with them. You don't have to share the dashboard. You just share the report. So that report itself has a live link that you can share with a client so they can go and they can read it. So if you just want to use this for security, just use this for security. If you just want to use this for operations, one of the cool things that we've seen people do is we'll use the dashboard as they'll have architecture audited, they'll have services audited, and then they'll skip the security, they'll skip risk, and they'll go right over to strategy. And the beauty of that is like, well, why aren't we getting a security audit? Like, well, you're not paying for that. That comes as part of our platinum support. And then as soon as they go, oh, well, because people hate seeing gaps. So they look at the dashboard and it's empty. And they're like, I need that filled. I want to see where our security posture, I want to know what our risk score is. And then they turn it on. Now all of a sudden you've got a contract with Vonahi, you've got a contract to audit their NIST. And you've just increased your revenue. You just provided more services to your client and they're asking you for it. And now you fill that out. And now they've got that pillar that every single quarter or every year you go and talk to them, it is filled out and they can see where they score. Anything else, Skip? I'm trying here. I'm trying to keep up.
No, Adam, I think you hit on all of them.
All right. Wow, we were going to finish 20 minutes early. So what can you expect from everybody? What we're going to do is we're going to email the group, the attendees. This is all be recorded. It's live on Facebook, so you can go and you can share this with your friends, tell them how cool it is. If you're watching this recorded before the end of the year, our promos do last through the end of the year. Is that correct, Key and Cam?
Yep.
I didn't want to make promises. I know ours ends December 31st.
We're honoring it now.
By the way, Key's going to send you a bottle of whiskey.
I drank them all. No, I was kidding. But
so these are the 3 top technologies from 2022 for MSPs. We earned our way here. These aren't token awards. These aren't things where we had to pay some vendor and they'll promise to shine us and show us that we're cool. No, we earned these. You can see what each one of us are going to do for your MSP. And we genuinely care about helping you grow. This is a recession coming up. Smart MSPs will grow. If you look at every recession we've been through, technology booms. During a pandemic, technology booms. During 2007, 2008, technology boomed. It's what happens because people try to create more efficiencies by engaging with technology. And so you want your MSP to be ready. You want to show your clients what you bring to the table to help them through a stressful time. So engage with us. Click the subscribe, get into our demo queue. So we're all very full because we're extremely popular. And so get into our queues, get in it now before things get really crazy next year with everybody trying to implement really fast. So any final thoughts, Key, or any final thoughts, Key?
No, like I said, to what Adam just said, we want you to be successful. You know, that's why we partner with MSPs, because if you're successful, we're successful. And that's why, like I said, again, we don't use the term partnership loosely.
Help us help you.
Exactly.
You make more money, you upgrade your plans, you give us more money, everybody wins. Any final thoughts, Cam?
No, I mean, just like you said, right? Like with the kind of recessionary scare coming up, everyone's going to be looking forward to see how they can do the most with what they have, right? So I think that what you've seen today is really a jumpstart to do the most with what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to have one last thing I wanted to say. Like I said, and this is not even not Vonahi related. Really, you know, I was gonna say for Humanize, Adam, thanks so much for putting this together, getting us on here. But seriously, what Humanize IT does has so much impact. You know, back when my MSP days, across the board, you know, whether it was a small MSP, the large MSPs, like I said, I helped run some of the largest MSPs on the planet. They're huge, massive, multi-million-dollar contracts. And we made a ton of extra money just from having better conversations with our existing clients. It is much easier to work with existing clients on projects, you know, growing that NRR, than it is to try to close new MRR. So really, just having better conversations goes an absolutely long way.
Yeah, thanks for that, Key. We did have one of our members tell us at the conference like a month ago that they're growing with their existing base. They're from like 1.1 to 2.2 or something like that million ARR just by talking to their existing customers.
Yep, I believe it.
You need AlertOps. You need Vonahi to do things like this because your clients are willing to give you more money. You just have to show them your value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can tell you, like I worked with large corporations. I worked with lots of small businesses, moving them from $1,500 a month to $8,500 a month, just by having better conversations, by aligning with them. And so what Key is saying is, it's true. You just got to have a better conversation with your existing clients. They're not nickel and diming you because they're poor. They're nickel and diming you because they think they don't need it. They think it's just extra. They think they see you as a janitor. Stop being treated like a janitor. Start being seen as a partner.
Yep.
All
right. Thank you, everyone. We'll send a follow-up email with all of the.
Hold on. What about Cam? Did he have any closing comments? Did we get Cam?
Oh, yeah, no, I think Adam got me, but yeah, I mean, I completely agree, at least as far as what Keith said with respect to Humanize IT. And I know that even at the conference, I was mentioning to Adam that having this roadmap, right, like kind of a framework for having a conversation and a tool to simplify that conversation, even internally, right? We're not a managed service provider. I think that even for vendors, for product companies, that being able to outline exactly what conversations were had and what opportunities they can mean in the future is something that's seemingly simple, but substantially harder than it sounds.
Yeah. And so 90% of everything is perceived value. You can be the best technician on the planet. You can have the best technology on the planet, but if you don't know how to relate to the person across the table from you, it's just not going to happen. We've seen it happen in technology many times where the best product is not the most popular one. It's all about perceived value. You want to have the high perceived value and you want to be the best. You do those two things together, people, you will have a very successful career. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming on, and have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.